I'm very excited to have kind of one of the pioneers that kind of started using the internet to distribute information and network and just sort of connect sort of art therapists. Very early on was one of the art therapists that did that. So I would like to welcome and introduce Petrea Hansen-Adamidis. Is that sort of right? Yes. I totally chop up the last names. Yes.
It's Petrea Hansen-Adamidis.
Oh, okay, great. And Petrea is a registered art therapist and registered psychotherapist working in the field of art therapy for over 22 years. And for the past 15 years, she has worked as an expressive arts therapist in an outpatient services at a large children's mental health center in Toronto, Ontario. And she also works as an art therapist clinician, providing trauma assessments and treatment, parent-child expressive arts therapy. She's part of the Children's Therapeutic Garden Committee, developing therapeutic art activities to be used by the community and clients in the garden. She's an art therapy supervisor and instructor at the Toronto Art Therapy Institute, and she also runs self-exploration art workshops for health and well-being and self-care in Toronto and offers online expressive arts e-courses as well. So Petrea's website currently is arttherapist, all one word, .ca, which was formerly Art Therapy in Canada, and it is now archived at Adamidis, like A-D, yes, ADAMIDIS .ca, and I'll have like links to things as well, so people can just click. And the archive site was one of the first art therapy sites to be online, and it was like the first site in Canada as well. Yes. So if you're interested in contacting Petrea, her email is Petrea at arttherapist, again, all one word, .ca. So yes, welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Your presence online, has always been very prolific and sort of impressive. So I just wanted to kind of have a chat sort of about sort of that, I guess, journey and kind of history for yourself, since you were sort of there, I feel like, from sort of the beginning. So my first question that I'm sort of kind of asking everybody so far about sort of like if they remember like when they first used the internet to kind of either connect to art therapy or kind of explore things about art therapy, either like when that was or what you sort of did.
Yeah. So I was, thinking about that. And I mean, I guess 1996 was when I first put the website up. And I really need to credit my partner for that, because he was like, you should make a website on art therapy. And I did. And I had a lot of energy. I had graduated in 95 from the Toronto Art Therapy Institute. And so I was really eager to sort of share about art therapy and getting more people to know what it was, because still there were a lot of people like, what, art therapy, what's that? And so I started to build this website. And I mean, at the time it was just you did all the HTML yourself, but it was very easy. And so it wasn't like now where everything just auto populates, right? I just built pages of just information, like about what art therapy is and definitions and who it helps. And then I started adding like reference or pages or bibliography, so I listed different articles and books about specific topics, like art therapy with children or art therapy with medical populations, whatever. I just sort of categorized and did that. And I just, I mean, at that time, I did search to see who else was out there. And I can't remember when I like found, I know the British Art Therapy Association they were out there pretty early, and I remember I was thrilled because one time I found something they wrote on me, and I'm like, whoa. And
like can be connected.
yeah, right. And because you don't know like who's actually seeing what you put out there. And now it's even more so. I mean, there's so much out there, which is great. But sometimes then it's hard to sort of sift through all the information.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So it really is an opportunity to definitely like reach out to other art therapists, like beyond your kind of local, sort of place, into other parts of the world, and now that is like so easy to do, but very cool that even sort of back then, which we were talking that before, that that was like 20 years ago, which wasn't that long ago, but there was like, it seemed like a small sort of group of art therapists that are like pioneers sort of in that really were helping like drive kind of that. So yeah, that's great. And
I was looking at my because I have it archived, as you said, and
mm-hmm.
I'm looking at some of the pages just to remind myself. And there was one page that I had that was like for like forums and communities and things like that. And I did try to do a forum myself, but it wasn't my thing. Like I just kept getting spam, so I think I gave up after a while. But your name is on that list in there. Like if you had a forum or something. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize,
I remember on your like resource list. That the Art Therapy Student Networking Forum that I was like a graduate student, then was sort of listed as that. So, also being like kind of like your experience with, the British art therapy is like, wow, that's cool. Like it's all kind of it's connected, and how at that time there were so few like art therapists sort of really kind of venturing kind of into that, that whatever you could find, you would just kind of like link, for others to be aware of. So.
Yeah. I remember doing searches for art therapy and art therapists, and just seeing who was out there and what was out there, and then doing as many links as I could just to show people this is a thing.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. And Do you remember when kind of social media started to really come to the, I guess, like forefront more, like what the first kind of social media thing? Because you're like, you're on Twitter and Facebook and
I am. But
that. So do you remember the first kind of thing that you kind of did related to social media?
I actually don't remember the first, because I'm sort of thinking I came late to the game with social media. Because when I did my page, it was 1996, and then I got married in 97, and then my first child in 2000.
Okay.
So I think 2003 is when I stopped updating that page.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It sat there, right? And I don't remember when social media really became the thing, right? So, I mean, now, I think it wasn't until maybe 2010, 2011 that I started like getting back online with my art therapy stuff. Not that I wasn't online looking at other stuff, but in terms of what I put out there. And so like now, I think I started using Twitter a lot. I don't do it so much now. It's just more, it's connected to some other things that I post, but I focus a lot more on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
But I don't actually remember.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Totally fine. Yeah. Sometimes life happens, we go off the grid, which, is, definitely. Yeah. We like rejoin. Yes. So currently, like you use social media for many different sort of purposes in relationship to like your work and promoting art therapy and sort of projects that you try to get others involved in related to self-care and using their creativity. So can you tell us a little bit about like how you use social media currently to kind of promote those things?
Yeah, I mean, I do it when I can, sort of here and there, because I work 4 days a week at a children's mental health center, and so then the other day or days, because I use my weekend, not good for self care. No, but I mean, will do some challenges sometimes, or I like to call them kind of more journeys. So, like I do every year, I do a doodle.
Doodle one, yes.
Yeah, and I invite people to join me. And on Facebook, I have like not a what is it? Not a private group. It's the closed group for anyone to join. Like, as long as you're not a spammer,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
which is Virtual Art Circle.
Okay.
And so with that, people just come and they can share whatever art they're working on, and the emphasis is really on art for self-expression, as opposed to here's what I made and I'm selling kind of thing.
Yes.
So I do that online, and I will post pictures of stuff that I'm working on through Instagram and on Facebook. And yeah, I mean, I do things like that. I've been focusing a lot more on some of my in-person workshops. And part of that is because I haven't had the time to get it together to do the online stuff. So I have some projects that are sort of sitting there waiting for me to like complete them. So some old e-courses that I want to revamp, and then some new ones that I want to put out there, so that I'm reaching people further away. Because I often get emails from people saying, "Oh, do you have anything like this online?" Or, like, I'm too far away. I'd love to join that workshop, but I can't. And so the other thing that I'm also trying to focus on is linking up through Skype with the workshops that I do, or some other sort of live streaming where people who are far away and who want to be part of the self-care workshops that I'm currently doing can be part of it.
That's great. Yeah. It's one of the huge like benefits of online sort of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a number of people like from the West Coast who've said, I'd really love to do your art journaling workshop. We don't have anything like that out here, which I find hard to read, but I guess
I haven't found it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, I have talked to some art therapists here, and I guess sometimes it's hard to get people to the workshops, or to get enough people to make it worth their while, and so it makes it difficult. So when you reach out sort of across the world or across the country or the continent, you can get more people sort of involved in using art for self-expression.
And sometimes a lot of like e-courses or offerings online can be formatted to be like at your own pace, so people can kind of plug in like whenever they want to, whether that's like 2 a.m. or at work or at home, when it's kind of convenient for them, which is nice. I mean, I think that takes like a certain amount of like commitment to, kind of follow through, because it can be easy just to be like, oh, never get to it, or just download the materials, but that's sort of different than maybe a physical kind of time and place and location that you have to like go to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I have done like e-courses where it's, you go at your own pace. I have done it where there's kind of online community, and that's really hard to build that community, when you're doing it part-time. So doing it at your own pace works well, but also doing it live when I'm already doing it in person. Why not invite some other people in to do it? I have had this one person, just one, who joined us from Florida one time with my art journaling course, and that was actually really nice. So that's where I sort of sparked the idea that why am I not opening it up to?
Yeah, I like that idea of like live while you're in person somewhere doing it, and then being able to invite people, that are being able to access it online. Yes, and there's so much like currently with live kind of streaming on like Facebook and I think Twitter and Instagram. People are sort of posting things, and you've done some live sort of chats, right? Yeah, you've like mentored sort of.
I've done some. I'm still, getting used to that. But I used to do a lot when I came back to being online in, I don't know if it was 2010, 2011. I used to do a lot of videos. I used to do this series called Metaphor Monday, and it was for my sister website, which was offbeatfamily.com. And that's just sitting idle right now while I try to figure out what to do with it. But it was all geared towards parents and children, and parents connecting with their children through the arts. And so I had started working on some projects of like sort of workbooks with different focuses, kids who are experiencing anxiety, kids who having issues with anger, and how the parent can support them through that. And so that's another project that I had to get back to, but that was like something that my kids were younger, and also well, I still am, but more so then I was working a lot more with the under 6 population.
Okay.
Work. So I was in a birth to 6 program where we worked with children under 6 and their parents, and so that was really a lot of the work was dyadic art therapy. So I wanted to bring it to the sort of mainstream, and that was one way to sort of do it as like a downloadable e-course, an ebook kind of thing.
Yeah, so many like possibilities and ideas. Totally not. I know I can resonate with like not enough time, between like work and all of that sort of stuff. And it sounds like maybe how you sort of make time is similar to what I do, because I work like throughout the week, and there might be a couple days that I have like free during the weekday and then the weekends. So I try to use like that time to be active or scheduling sort of things, what would you sort of recommend, I guess, that's been helpful for you? I know it's always a challenge, and sometimes we just have to let things go. But for an art therapist who's like, really busy, but also wants to kind of establish or strengthen their digital presence, what would you kind of recommend?
Well, I could use my own advice probably.
Yeah.
But when I have been like consistent, I feel like it is when I schedule it in. So I will sort of say to myself, this is what I want to put out there, whether it's just things about art therapy, or just like I do a lot of like I follow you, of course, and all that you're posting about art therapy, and I know personally that I don't have the time to sort of or know how really to sort of gather all that information and put it out there. So I really appreciate that you're out there doing that. But so what I do is, sometimes I'll just do what I feel is inspiring quotes and just putting them out there. And then I'll connect articles that I see you posting or other people posting. And then I write a blog. I try to do it weekly, but now lately it's been more every 2 weeks, and just more on creativity. So my focus when I'm doing social media, although I'll more than happily share stuff on art therapy and that kind of thing, my focus is really on creativity for self-expression and health and wellness. And for me, that's important because I do clinical work 4 days a week, and so
Mm-hmm.
practice has always been focused on the health and wellness part, and to balance it out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more like, to me, it's prevention. It's not that I'm not dealing with mental health when, people
Yeah.
in my
Mm-hmm.
workshops, but it's more the mental health part than the mental illness part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on you know, hopefully empowering people to feel like they can take some control and do some self-care, and they can put things into place. I think it's so important to have that balance, and that's where I've kind of come full circle too, because when I first started doing my workshops, when I was like more the traveling art therapist, as I like to call myself, because uh, in Toronto at the time, there weren't a lot of positions for full-time art therapists. It's getting a lot better, but so I pieced together, contracts here and there, and I was in a different place almost every day doing art therapy. And so then I, wanted to do some workshops, which I was inspired by other people at conferences I'd gone to. And I'm like, you know what, this needs to be happening more regularly, where people can, connect through art, and it doesn't have to be that they're going for art therapy. And so, yeah, I started doing those kind of self-care workshops. Some of them were like in different agencies or shelters or group homes or with staff, right? And sort of helping them understand, the power of art, and how they can just support kids and families they were working with, but also for their own self-care. And I've come back to that, where I'm focusing in the last several years, focusing on self-care for professional helpers. So I think it's important. Yeah.
Do you find that that in your own kind of local area, regionally, or even maybe beyond, that people find you and interested in your work because of maybe your website or what you have sort of online? Because I feel like that's where people are, they're Google searching, services. I mean, I know I have agencies, who connect with me, through finding mostly my website sort of online, but I was just kind of curious, your experience with that.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of people in the last few years, since I've been more active on my website. So that's a tip for those art therapists who
Yes.
are, wanting to put a website up there. You don't just put it there and let it sit there. I do have colleagues who have websites up, and I don't think they get a lot of people finding them necessarily, unless they are on there and updating, and like writing blog posts, that kind of thing, because that gets you better hits in terms of search. And so, I mean, I'm lucky, because my website has been up for a while, that it tends to be higher in the search engine. And plus I think also because I've, over the years, like, written here and there on different people's blogs, or people have connected, that it just sort of shows up better for people. So I do get a lot of people, agencies, individuals sort of contacting me. And some are like people who are, which always makes me laugh, because, they can contact the school, but they contact me because I seem to come up, and, looking to hear about, the field of art therapy, and they're thinking about becoming an art therapist. And so I get a lot of that, and I get a lot of other agencies looking for, something art therapy related for either staff or people at their work, that kind of thing.
Great.
So that's really neat, and that's been happening a lot more lately. I think it used to happen a lot before too, but I wasn't as prepared for it, so it often didn't go anywhere. But it's I think a lot more people are using searches like that to find out, and just knowing what to include, like when you're writing your post, or your tags or whatever, so that people can find you.
Yeah, so that's it's like a stronger visibility. So where would people be able to find you if they kind of want to connect to you? And I'll also make sure that this is linked as well. But yeah, where can people find you sort of on social media?
Do a blog post, like I said, every week or 2 weeks. And people can sort of connect with me there and sign up for my newsletter and sort of know,
Okay.
what's upcoming either online or in person. And yeah, and then Instagram is sort of like my go-to. It's the simplest way to engage with social media, I find, because I usually have my phone on me, and then I can just click a picture and then share it. I'll share that on Twitter. I find it easier sharing from Instagram, say, than like doing something from Twitter. But I know there's pros and cons to all that.
Yeah. And Instagram is, I mean, it's visual, which is so like, what we're kind of drawn to as artists and art therapists, versus, I mean, Twitter, you can post images and stuff, but it is not as like streamlined, as Instagram. Yeah. So yeah, it's very inspiring on Instagram.
There's such a lovely group of art therapists on there, like international. On all the social media, but Instagram, like I notice it more because, and Facebook too, but something about Instagram where you can just sort of, you can go to somebody's page or whatever you call it on Instagram, and you can just see like all the stuff that they post and then go through and click. Whereas Facebook, you can go to their page, but then you don't see it so clearly, like things that maybe they posted a few weeks ago that you have to scroll all the way down.
Or maybe click. Yeah.
So there's something about Instagram that's great that way. And Pinterest is another one that I like to go on, and I'll share some stuff there too, but I have to admit I go on it a lot, sort of looking for ideas and categorizing them for things that I can go back to.
Yes. Yeah. So like very much like hitting a lot of the like big sort of places sort of on social media.
And I think the visual for art therapists is just it's big.
Yeah, which Pinterest also sort of has as well. But I don't know, sometimes you can sort of, I don't know, get lost in Pinterest. I love it for the visual thing too, but like what you were describing about Instagram, how you can just kind of, kind of quickly kind of go through or spend sort of time just looking sort of at the images.
Yeah, but it's good if there's a group like, your group, the Art Therapy Alliance, Pinterest board, where you can go and see like a lot of different things that people are posting, and not just like art therapy, but things that art therapists are saying, hey, how can we adapt this to art therapy? Like how can we do this with our clients? And that's where I find it really inspiring.
Yes, definitely, like what everybody's sort of doing, and supporting and sort of, I don't know, again, it all being kind of connected to what we do. Yeah, yes. Well, I think that is sort of it. I mean, I think we covered like a lot of different sort of topics, and thank you very much for sharing sort of the history and sort of, how the logistics of what I think it's always a challenge to kind of keep up with social media. It's always changing and time and life and all of that. But I think that you were able to offer some really helpful kind of tips and kind of considerations. And for somebody who's kind of been, on the sort of scene, for like 2 decades, like it's, it's good. Yeah.
No, thank you for having me. I mean, I have to say though, like I said, I started out there and I've kind of like dwindled a bit, and I'm back trying to get things going with social media. But I mean, it's just like, it's wonderful to be connected with other art therapists like yourself who are, really, also big pioneers in terms of getting art therapy out there online, and like making videos like this.
Yeah, definitely. It's very, very cool to like be able to kind of connect sort of in that way and be able to be inspired kind of by one another. Definitely. Yes. So your inspiration, I've definitely been inspired for sure. So yeah. So thank you.